This is what the game looks like at every different skill level, from 70 all the way up to 100. Let's take a look at how the game looks and how you develop in getting down to being the best golfer you can be, understanding that at every moment it's a certain context of how you are playing in the moment. A lot of the time I'll play a hole that's 355 yards long and see no reason to hit a driver. I can go into bunkers in the area that the driver will finish and leave myself a shot under 100 yards in a bunker. So I like to use something like the 3, 4 or 2 iron, and then from there I leave myself a wedge into the green, maximum a 9 iron, and I'm absolutely money from that distance because I know how far those clubs go with the shot shape I hit. So lately I've just trying to hit a little fader with my 2 iron, started out to the left and let it fade into the fairway. What you'll find is that the tee ball is going to shape less and less left and right as you get better. When you're around 100 shooter, it's going to fade big, generally not draw much, but generally a big slicer. As you get better, you start to plan for that shot shape, and that shot shape narrows and the ball goes further. This all comes down to strike. That's why I can hit the 2 iron, because I can hit the sweet spot instead of hurting my hands, missing the sweet spot entirely. Now as you get better at golf, when you are 100 or 90 or 80 shooter, you're going to worry more about hitting fat and thin. So that means short of the ball, long of the ball. When you become more low 70s or into pro, you start caring more about where on the face you're going to hit the ball, toe or heel, and less about hitting fat and thin. So for a player who's trying to break 100 or 90, you may see a big slice or what I like to call power fader. And that you can play starting at left, knowing that it's going to start on that line, and like a putt, it's going to break back to your target. In this initial phase, trying to break 100, trying to break 90, what happens is you'll find yourself fading the ball or hooking the ball into the rough. Now from the rough, it limits your options. You have to get the ball back into play as best you can to keep another shot in the cards. If you hit a shitty shot and set yourself up on a more difficult shot, now you're going to bring your score up. So part of getting better is understanding what you can do. When you're at this level, you're not hitting the ball as far. So from 150, you may be hitting a 6 or a 7 iron, or maybe a 5 iron. And as you get better, your strike improves, your radar gets narrower, the ball goes further. It's got nothing to do with swing speed at the moment, it's got to do with strike. But in the rough, you want to just ensure another shot. You know, we don't want to take shots on that we can't hit. And the irony is, and quite a nice irony, if you fade into the right rough, you can then hit your fade from the right rough into the fairway. Just remember to aim for it. And understand that in the beginning, and you're not trying to break 80 or 70 yet, leaving yourself a shot into the green with a pitch or a sand wedge or something, that's absolutely money. Understanding the context of where you are right now. As you get better, you add more shots to your arsenal, and we hit a 2 iron further than we hit our driver, or we hit our driver another 30 or 40 yards because we improve our strike, reduce the shot shape. The more fade you put on it, the more it's going to angle instead of going straight, giving you a better rollout, better strike. So you're losing distance you can gain in the future. Now from the rough back there, as a lower handicap, I can easily from 150 beat a 9 iron, high and handsome, land on the green and hold the green. That's not necessarily going to happen for you if you hit a 6 or 7 iron out the rough. Don't catch all of it, it's going to roll a lot. So when we get a little bit further up, that means you're hitting the ball a bit better. But I'm going to show you this shot, because you're going to have this shot whether you're a 190, 80 or 70 player. It's like 140 yards, 135 yards to the hole, holes cut back right. Now as a lower handicap player, I'm going to play my shot shape, which is most reliably a little draw ski, but the pin's in the back right. Doesn't suit a draw. So I'm going to start this just left of the pin, let it draw toward the middle of the green, ensuring a putt. It's not really a green light attacking hole. And I've hit the left side of the green there. Now if I were a higher handicap player, I have to accept that I can't go here because I can't carry the ball toward the pin. I'm going to go in a bunker, so I have to go left. My shot there with the pitching wedge was not great, but now I know as a high handicap player, I want some nice contact right to the entrance of the green there, and avoid the hazards. And that ball's going to roll out a little bit just to the left edge there. Nice chip up the green. That's how different skill level will play the exact same shot from the middle of the fairway, avoiding the bunkers, which are real trouble. Around the greens, it's always good for amateur golfers to get the ball rolling as soon as possible. The PGA pros and professional golfers will have 3 different shot varieties from here. They can play the same club, back foot, middle, and front foot, and create a high, middle, and low ball flight to create the same finishing position, but they've practiced like that 8 hours a day since they were in diapers. We just need to get this ball popped onto the green as low loft as possible to get the ball rolling. Now, I shoot in the 70s most often, and I like to use this technique the most. I don't like to loft the ball up there. We can't control the spin. We don't know about the slope, exactly how much more loft it adds when we're on an upslope, on a downslope. Popping it onto the front with enough power to roll up is very easy. Now that one is going to sidle up to the hole, not much thinking, because it's the simplest shot that you can possibly hit, from 100 all the way down to 70s. You'll see these 2 balls were almost the same finishing position, and that's just how the game works. The best position to be here, whether you're in the rough on 150 or you have to go over the green, over the bunkers to get to the pin from 110, 120, it's exactly the same thing. We want to be here where we're opening up the hole with what I like to call a nipple licker. And it's the same concept. It's hit the ball low, get it popped on the front. You can even putt it if you want. And from here, we're in a great position as a 90 or 100 shooter. And then we leave ourselves a putt. Absolutely money. Lower handicaps are not perfect. They're a little bit better, a little bit longer, narrower radar instead of way out right and left. Most of the issue is going to be long and short. Higher handicaps are worrying more left and right and chunking. When you do hit the green, the lower handicap recognizes that we're not trying to make this putt. Anything inside 10% of the distance that you're from the hole is pretty good. I don't really subscribe to 50 feet being 5 feet away, being good. I mean, in my opinion, it's okay. That's like the worst. I think I can get this ball within 2 or 3 feet every single time by having the correct pace and the correct line. If I'm a 100 or 90 breaker, the thing that happens is that we are not aware of slope at that level. At 70 and 80s, we're aware of slope. We know this is uphill. We know it's left to right. We're not just drilling the ball randomly at lines we can't see. We can see it's about 3 or 4 feet to the left. It's uphill, so we have to hit a little firmer. We know that if it's uphill, it might break less because you're hitting it much firmer over the break. So it doesn't have enough time to take the break. We know downhill, it takes more break because you're giving it more time to actually interact with the turf. These are the things you learn as you get better. When you start out and you're trying to break 100, you're just bashing and hitting it directly at the hole, leaving yourself 20 feet past the hole. Speed control is the #1 difference between a 100 shooter, 90 shooter, and a 70 shooter. It's just speed control on the greens. Once you get speed control, you can see a better line. Now I'm yakking a lot here, so I might not get this right, but let's give it a go. Okay, not a bad speed. From about 50 feet, we left ourselves 3 feet. So that's absolutely freaking stinky winky right there. Now this is the area where you have to clean up. This is one of the 4 reasons for 3 putts. First reason is not enough proximity to the hole on the approach shot. So you leave it further from the hole because you got 170 yards to the hole. You're hitting it further from the hole than if you had 100 yards. The next one is that you are not getting great speed control, leaving yourselves longer return putts. And one of the other reasons is this: 3 to 4 to 5 feet. If you're going to miss 10% of the distance of your putt, you're going to need to be good 3 to 6 feet. It's very, very essential, and it will be a 3, 4 shots around if you're a 100 or 90 shooter, because we get a little bit tentative over them. You start missing 1 or 2 and you can't make any of them. You practice them, you're bomb.com. On a par 5, you're going to notice a humongous difference between 100s, 90s, and high 80 shooters versus lower 80 and 70 shooters. When you're going 70s and low 80s, you don't mind hitting the par 5 in 3, setting up a wedge or a pitch into the green. You have to judge whether you can hit the green in 2 after your drive, and a lot of the time you can't. but a 3-shot is good enough. When you're in the high 80s, 90s, and 100s, you start to see the par 5s in an opposite way of even a better golfer. You start to see it as a 2-shot hole. You have to pound it, ground and pound it like a coffee date, get it on in 2, you screw it up, you take 7s and 8s. I've seen it plenty. You can hit 4 easy shots that are in your arsenal. You can take those par 5s down to 5s and 6s. So when I play a par 5, of course I want to birdie it, but I just don't want to bogey it. Par is fine. So I can hit a driver, but it's very narrow up there. So why give away shots when I can just get the ball in play and still make a bird with a wedge into the hole? The concept remains the same when you're in the 90 and 100 category. We want to get into the 80s, get that ball in play. Ball in play is worth 2 in the bush. Whatever gets you in play away from water hazards and OB. Let's stay short of the OB, not in the water. Get something in play. Get ourselves a second shot. With a second shot, we can make miracles. Dropping 2, hitting 3, we're asking for trouble. And that's good enough. That's good enough, baby. Humongous difference on par 5s. When you're in like reachable zone, you have to really understand if it's reachable or not. Like a 70 or 80 shooter, they know how far their clubs go. They can accept, I can't go for it, but what's the next best? Where can I set up my shot from? 90 and 100 shooter are thinking, well, I'm 240 yards away. That's easily my 5-wood. When their 5-wood only goes 195 yards, they try, hit it too hard, go over the water, brr, 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 hit in the water, have to take a drop, hit through the trees, taking 7s and 8s. The key to remember on par 5s, whatever handicap, is so easy. Let's get the ball to a position we can have an easy final shot. So if we're here on our second shot as a 90 or 100 shooter, we have plenty of safe space on the right. We can hit it up to the 100-yard marker, leave ourselves 100 yards into the hole. Don't do anything stupid, because when you get to 70s and 80s, you know, in amateur golf, there are no hero shots, only stupid shots. The reason pros hit hero shots, because they can. Now what we can do as a higher handicap player is we can get the ball toward the 100 marker, take the water out of play, actually aiming over the corner of it, and we're through. Now for the 70 and 80 player, a very important part is knowing what happens from the lie of the golf ball. This is a huge differentiating factor. It's like the speed control on putts and the radar on approach shots, knowing the lie of the ball. When you get to 70s, you can't play in the 70s in golf if you don't understand the lie of the ball. So part of that is the grass. So it's a fairway lie, not so much to think about. But the ball slightly above my feet generally promotes a right to left shot shape. If you don't know that, a lot of the time you can aim at the pin and it just hooks. You can aim at your target and it hooks. If the ball's below your feet, it's going to give you a little fader. So I know that this one has a propensity to draw. So I'm 240 out. I take the 3-wood, but I can counteract because I understand the lie of the ball and how to hit a shot shape. As a 70s player, I can actually counteract the slope by just giving a little fader action and actually straightening out the shot shape. So that is absolutely stinky winky. If I hit my normal plane and my normal shot, it's going to go up and curve left into the bunker. So I have to counteract. If you're playing off the high 80s, 90s, and 100, be aware of the lie of the ball. Above your feet, below the feet, how does it react? On an upslope, on a downslope, and then start taking note of that. That awareness is going to get you into the low 80s, 70s, and then you move on to grass reading, which is a humongous difference between the skill levels. In the 70s and 80s, when we're in this 180-yard range, that radar and distance control really makes a big difference. When it's not out here and you're hitting it longer, higher, this is really a difference maker. When you're in the high 80s, 90s, 100s, these shots are very, very difficult because you can't get it high enough to stop in time. Maybe your strike is not consistent enough, you don't get the distance. So the next best thing is to set yourself a rule in the high 80s up to 100 of your no-go distance. Like, what is the cutoff that you're comfortable hitting a shot into danger zone, like in the green? Can be 180, can be 160, can be 150. And then you can adjust from there. Leave yourself a simple shot. But because I play 70s, low 80s golf, I can hit this shot very simply, knowing everything's in my favor. Pins on the left of the green. I can aim this to the right edge of the green. Ball is slightly above my feet, I know the lie. I'm down grain. The grass is growing or mowed in that direction, so my club won't get stuck. It'll glide through the turf, giving me a little bit more distance. So I'm going to hit into the breeze, an extra club here, because into the breeze you will lose a club. The equivalent shot down breeze, on the same breeze, you will pick up half a club. So into the breeze, I'm taking an extra club, and I'm going to hit this out to the right, knowing I'm going to draw it over like a big boss, and then I'm going to have an eagle putt. I forgot to mention on that shot too, the awareness of the slope, because the ball is actually on a down slope too, so it came out much lower. My normal shot from a flat ground would easily clear this tree in front of me. That one just went over the right edge of the tree, and that's the awareness of the slope. Now when we hit it a bit longer and we get the strike right, we get the strike, we get more confidentiality, we hit the ball better, we swing faster, we can hit high with beautiful, beautiful spin. Not my best effort, but pretty good result. Now, not the greatest, we're getting there. But when you are playing at a bit higher handicap, you don't have that high flight with a lot of spin. You sometimes have to roll the ball up. Sometimes you can't, but luckily here we have a run up. And understanding this and accepting this is absolutely fire money. We don't want to take on shots we can't hit by hitting these high, handsome spinning shots that don't spin, then actually stymieing ourselves. So we understand we can just land it a bit short and let it bounce up with our lower loft, lower spin. Just like that. And we're going to understand we're not perfect, and we're going to hit shots like that onto the front edge, and we know we went further forward, then sideways, closer to the green, setting up a shot. Hey, it's the score on the scorecard that counts, not how it looks. Around the greens, the awareness of the slope is very important at 70s level, because we want to understand, is this downhill? Is it a big left to righter? Where's the optimal putt coming from? Because of course, anything inside 2 feet, even on a downhill putt, is okay. But we don't want to leave ourselves a 3 or 4 footer on a cross slope down the hill. It doesn't matter what they tell you about people saying that it doesn't matter, 6 foot up the hill is not as good as 3 foot down the hill. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is 6 foot long, 6 foot short, 6 foot uphill or 6 foot downhill. Which would you rather have? Everybody has 6 foot uphill, no question. Now, with that in mind, a lot of the time I'll see 90 plus 100 people taking their chipping club, maybe like a 60, and then going bam, and like trying to land it at the hole. It's the same as a putt. Lower handicaps chip the ball better because 70 and 80 players know there's break, there's slope, and there's rollout. There's spin rates as well, which we're not very good enough to control perfectly every time. So we need to give ourselves a good chance of taking break and rolling out. This understanding of the dynamics of a chip is a humongous difference between a higher handicap and a lower handicap. Now, understanding that that ball was going to shoot to the right like that, and if I had landed it further, I probably would have shot right, and I would have had to go further left. That helps me to put the ball to 1.5 feet versus slamming it over the green. Now, there's many techniques you can use around the green, and it's best to find one that just works for you. So if, like, I'm at 70 level, even when I haven't chipped in a while, I'm not going to do the standard, because I get problem. I start dipping and I get inconsistent. I teeth it across the green. So what I do is I just use toe down chipping, just in the beginning, until I get used to playing again, get my confidentiality up. You can use anything that works for you. Don't be ashamed. Here's one I know from personal experience. When I was a high 80s, 90s, and 100 shooter, I see this whole dogleg right and I think, well, I got to hit a little fader. So I take my driver and I try to hit a big fade, end up slicing it OB or shurrying it short. When in actual fact, at this level of golf with 420-yard dogleg right, it's a par 5. That's the big difference. It's a par 5. Seeing it as a par 4, you're trying to cut corners, this is not in the realm of possibility for 90 and 100 shooters. This is more when you get down into the 70s, because you're just bringing additional problems into play. Now I can take my driver ski and I can hit one over the corner, But this took me many years to get right. I couldn't do it at 90 and 100 level. So that's the big difference. Now when you're at the 90 and 100 level, we want to get the ball in play. The ball in play at the 190 level is one of the most key concepts, is just get the thing in play to allow a second shot. And that means opening up your mind to the fact that you're not taking tiger line, because there's no tiger line and hero shot at this level of golf. There's only what you can do in the moment, simple, easy game. Way left, take the dog leg, make it a par 5. And it's not always going to be this way. As you get better, and as I got better at golf, I started being able to take on the lines when I could add the shots to my arsenal. But before that, we just accept our station currently and know that in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, you're going to be a different guy, a different golfer. In the high 80s, 90s, 100 category, when you have the 200-yard shot like this, I remember I always wanted to go for like a 5-wood or something. And I got really good with my little 5-wood made of wood, persimmon, when I was a kid. But it took a long time, and it took a lot of frustration, right? And eventually I learned that I can actually lay it up to where I want to be. And having a distance that I can set as my maximum as a 90 or 100 shooter, I can leave my ball in a position that I can really go at a shot that I can trust. We call it the free throw distance, and that free throw distance can be anything, you know. Once you at the 90 and 100 level, you have 2, 3, 4, 5 shots in your arsenal that you can really trust. And you have a shot with some form of wedge and a distance that you like to hit. And I like to hit the ball to that when I was 80, 90 shooter, because you get better, you add more to your arsenal, meaning you can hit the ball closer to the green and you don't have to hit the layups. But you see, if you go for it as a high handicap player, we bring the bunkers into play, we can slice it off into the woods, and then we're feeling shitty because we're trying to stretch. Or we can just lay it up right to our favorite and leave ourselves a beautiful sandy wedge in. Once you get better and you're hitting the ball a bit better with your long irons, you took a lesson, you learned how to hit it, wow, now you're going to be in a position to actually go for these shots. You've also worked on your game enough to be confidential from the bunkers, so you can not see the bunkers as dangers anymore, but you can see as a chance to get up and down. Because as you get better at golf, in the 70s and 80s, the bunker shots are not that intimidating because you can actually get them to stop pretty quickly, and they're not that scary. You'll see a professional will often rather be in a bunker than in the rough. They'll often shout, "Get in the bunker," when the ball's heading off course. And with that, you take into account your shot shape, and you understand that your variance with lower loft is a lot more than with higher loft, but then you trust your short game. And that one is just over the bunker on the left side, chipping. In the game inside 100 is the real differentiating factor between handicap levels. If you ask anyone, what does it take to break 70, to break 80, play scratch? The game inside 100. This is the place where you just keep shaving shots and you don't leak them. Golf is a game of leaking shots. If you can stop leaking shots, you're going to score lower. It's not about making birdies to go deep under par, because that's for PGA pros. For amateurs like us to get from 100 down to 70s, it's just nipping shots. Inside 100, like let's say here we're at about 70 yards, I like to simplify everything down. You have a couple options. You can either hit one club, multiple distances, or multiple clubs, multiple distance with one swing. I like to use one swing, so I go to 48 degree here, and I'm just going to give it a 9 o'clock swing, where I swing it to 9 o'clock on the clock and back to 9 o'clock. So my arms look like that on the backswing. Shaft up, 9 o'clock left arm. This is the part of the game that just getting it on the green is good enough. Being absolutely perfect, not essential at the 90 to 100 level. When you get to 70, 80, you want to get it close to the hole. Absolutely money. Now this is the driver that I hit cutting the corner. And then what happens when you get down to 70s level is you can take on different shots because you know the lie of the ball. When you know the lie of the ball, you can play your rescue shots easily. If you don't know the lie of the ball and you're hitting willy-nilly shots without a plan, as a 90 or 100 player, you stay 90 or 100 because you're continuing to hit shots into places you don't have the shots. I can read this lie. It's sitting up on the Bermuda or Zoysia. It's gonna not have as much spin. We normally have spin when we can get it to nicely clip off the turf with a downward strike. This one's on fluffy turf, so it's probably going to roll out a bit more. Luckily, the green is slanted toward me, so it should land softer, roll up with a little bit less rollout. Understanding both the lie here and the interaction with my club, how the ball will react, how it will fly, and then the landing area. This is a huge separator between 70, 80, 90. A little bit out to the right, clipped it a bit, and that works fine. Yeah, we have a birdie putt from the driver shot. We hit it in the rough. We had the shot to get on the green. We didn't dump it in the bunker. From here, I want to make this putt. That's 70s, 80s. When you're in the 90s to 100s, man, if I'm watching a guy who's trying to break 9 to 100 and he two putts this, that's absolutely money. Because the little return putts of 4 or 5 feet are what kill the game. If we can stop this within a foot or two, we're absolutely money. Look at that. That's a Tapinski. Beautiful little par. When you're at the 90 to 100 level, and you get a lot of these putts, right? Even after your chips, after your approach shots, after your wedge shots. And I mean, it can really get very stressful. Practicing putting is just one of those non-negotiables. Practicing speed control. You can get some beautiful tutorials online on how to get speed control. Anything's going to work if you're not doing anything for speed control. Now we have to be aware of the slope on the greens, and this is uphill. Up the hill, slightly less break. Down the hill, you're going to take more break. So we're going to set this one up, maybe just straight or left. And the most important is to be aware that it's uphill, so we're going to give it a little bit extra. And there we go. If we hit it the normal flat pace, that's when we leave ourselves 6 foot short. Then we get too aggressive on the next putt. I've seen this with 90 and 100 players. And then you hit it way past. Now you might bring in a 4 putt. On the downhill putts, it's very important to stay very conscious of the slope. Give it a little tickle. Don't hit a 20-foot past, because now you're freaked, and then you hit your 20-foot putt and leave it 6 foot short, bringing that 4 putt into play. Slope, green speed, speed control. That's how you get it done. But when you're playing 90 and 100, you'll notice people think it's all about hole-in-one. And of course, a hole-in-one is nice, but the hole-in-one is generally going to come when you weren't intending for that specific shot. It's just a lucky shot. The day it comes when you hit that specific shot perfectly and it goes in the hole, that's when the stars align. Sometimes never happens for anybody. Trying to get this exact number to the hole when, as a break 90 or break 100 player, all you need here is a 4. And that's where I see people getting into the 5s, topping their shots, getting anxious and getting the ball in the wrong position. Par 3s have great places to be. This one, as a lower handicap, I'll just take my standard shot from 172. I know it's going to move a little right to left, so I aim it a bit to the right and hopefully it comes back. Okay, that's dead at the place I aimed it, didn't turn much right to left. Then, when it comes to 190 players, the thing we can find is that where's the good place to be here? This whole green slopes back to front from the left. Anywhere on the left side is not so great. Anywhere long is not great. We have the pin at the back. And now, wow, if we stay short of this and we just take into account our shot shape, little fader, we can start this left of the pin and have it short for a nice chip up the green. And that's just beautiful right there, knowing that it's a par 4, but if we get it greenside, chip and a putt puts us in a position to make a 3.5 money. Bunker technique is just a huge divide between the top range and the low range scores. When you know how to get out of a bunker, you can get out easily without keeping it in or teething it or fluffing it short here. But when we get short-sighted, it's even more difficult, because now we get obsessed with trying to get it like nice and close. We decelerate, we leave it in the rough here, we leave it in the bunker, and then we have a more difficult shot onto the downslope. We've got like 9 yards of carry here, 5 yards roll out. That's a tough shot. Let's open our mind. Look how big the green actually is. We can have a 20-foot putt. That's fine. Let's just get the ball out by using correct technique, which you can find everywhere on the internet. Now that shot is going to roll out a little bit, but hey, we're on the green. We're not here trying to be cute. Because when you get cute and you have the wrong technique, what happens is you either want to maybe chip it and you teeth it across the green, or you get real cute and you don't know what you're doing. You're trying to get it real close. You've never done it before. You're going to try to get it real low. And then that's what you do. Now what the hell are you going to do from here? This is what gives you a score of 90s, because now you're going to be where you could have been with your first shot if you had just accepted that a 20-footer is better than another chip. That's it, bros. OB right, trees on the left. What's going to get you in play? For a 70s player, I'm going to bomb the driver right over the left edge here. 80s, 90s, we want to just get the ball in play. Hey, even if it's a short shot, as long as it's not OB-ski, because once you go Oscar Bravo, you're adding not just one shot to your score, you're adding 2 or 3 because you have to re-tee. If you hit another one out, wow, you're really not doing good. So it's all about target selection, and target selection comes with our shot shape. So once you can control your shot shape and you know what shot shape's coming, you can pick better starting lines and target landing areas. So you started left, it swerves into the right, started right, swerves in from the right to the left. Those things come, the more you play, the better you hit the ball. So for my par 5 here, I have to take into account the fact that I can get this ball to clear all the trees and actually clear them so that the landing area is actually wider than it looks, as long as I can trust that. Now if I don't hit the ball that far, my landing area is very narrow. What can I hit that's going to fit in that landing area and not go out? So we take the driver ski and we pick a leaf on the top of that tree and we're just going to rip it right over there. Absolutely money. Now if I were a fader and I wanted to get the ball in play and my iron is not long enough to reach the fairway, I can either accept that I can't reach the fairway and go from there, or I set up for my fader to the left of those trees and I started at that tree and it's going to fade toward the phone tower. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but we're in play and we're not OB-ski. The irony is that the better you get at golf, the more you understand that when you're in the 70s range, there's no shot here. When you're in the 90 and 100 range, even sometimes 80 range, there's a hooded 3 or 4 iron under the trees from the rough with a little sweeping hook onto the green. That shot just doesn't exist. It doesn't exist even for a PGA pro. They're not going to hit that shot. They may see a different angle and try something else. They may even be able to hook it out to the right here. But for us as amateurs, regardless of whether we're 100, 70s, 80s or 90 players, this is the shot. Taking the medicine. There's no other shot. It's just find out how far it is to the edge of the rough and hit it there. So we take our club and we just hit it with a punch shot back into play so that we have another shot. Keeping it in the trees, keep it in the trees, keep it in the trees, then eventually hack out what you should have done in the first place. Hey, you can knock off 2 or 3 shots in one hole just by being smart, taking your medicine, getting the ball back in play, like a bizaus. So from 200 yards, we've got some trees in our way. The imagination in all of us runs wild. We go, wow, it's a beautiful little draw, 7 wood, 5 wood, 6 iron, 5 iron. Just started out under this branch, hook it over. The reason people in the 70s and the pros hit these shots is because they have the shots. A hero shot is only a shot that you can hit if you have the skills. If you don't have the skill to do it, you don't know how to hit a hook, you've just seen a video or 2 about it, that's when you start smothering it into the rough. That's why when you take out a 5 or 6 iron or a hybrid and you're trying to hit a big sweeping hook, that's why you smother it into the rough, make it worse. Because at the 190 skill level, we don't understand that you can't hook the 4 iron low hooded. It just takes negative loft and you smother it left. We know as we get better, you need higher loft. So I won't do a hook with anything less than a 6 iron. I won't do a 5 iron hook. So I just want to set up for it. I haven't done it in a while, so it could be fun. And then I hit a little hooker. And because I know how to hit the hooker, I get the hooker. As soon as I get a low lofted club in my hands, now that's a beautiful hooker, probably the wrong loft. And this is the huge difference, is that the lower handicap golfer, the guys around 70, low 80s, they're not playing at distance, they're playing the lie. And we play the best case scenario of a certain shot. So we have a good lie, we have a hook shot. Can we do a hook shot from there? Well, the loft is a 6 iron, so it's going to come out really low. We have the trees in the way. Probably not. If it's a 7 iron, maybe I could hook it and get some more distance, get it near the front of the green. Could work. When you play a distance, 200 yards, I can hook a 7 iron and it may get more distance because we've lowered the loft from 7 down to 5. When we take the 4 iron and we're playing a distance, a 200 yard distance, and now we think we have to hit a hooking 4 iron, what happens is not good because you've made the loft from 20 degrees, 21 degrees down to 9. And then you get those little shurries like that, and that's the difference. When you get to 70s and 80s, you're playing to the lie and the reaction of your ball to the lie and landing area. When you're playing 90s and into the 100s, a lot of the time people are playing a distance, and the lie can affect the distance you hit the ball more than almost anything else. So we play to a lie, not to a distance. With 173 left, I've hit a big booming drive. And with a big booming drive, we put ourselves in a nice position. The key when you're at the lower handicap level, you want to get those birdies and eagles to get psyched up. Don't get psyched out. It can be easy to get ahead of yourself and start celebrating that eagle before you've even hit the second shot. So we want to pick a good club. The lie is good, pretty standard lie. 173, 8 irons the money. And it's going to move right to left because the slope is in that favor, and so is my shot shape. So we aim this with the club face a little out to the right and then anticipate the little draw ski. Doesn't draw that much, gonna hit the right edge of the green. And that's absolutely brilliant. Wow, breaks a lot. Breaks a latte.
Nice birdie. Nice birdie. Oh, good putting. Good today.
Those are the differences between the skill levels. There's probably a lot more, but those are the ones I had off the top of my head. Check out this video over here if you want to know even more about the difference between skill levels like a boss.